If you're serious about organic gardening, I need to tell you something uncomfortable. You're probably pouring money into fertilizers that are doing absolutely nothing for your plants. Some of these myths don't just waste your cash, they actually slow your plants down. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly which fertilizer myths to ditch and what actually feeds your soil for free. Myth number 1, let's rip this one apart first. This is the myth that gets the most beginners in trouble. The thinking goes, if a little fertilizer helps, more must help faster. Simple math, right? Wrong. Completely wrong. A plant can only absorb so many nutrients at a time. Everything past that point just sits in the soil. Or worse, it burns the roots. I've seen tomato seedlings go from healthy green to crispy brown in 2 days because someone doubled up on feed. Here's the thing. Plants don't grow faster with more food. They grow faster with the right amount, at the right time. Personally, I'd rather underfeed slightly and adjust than dump in extra and gamble with root burn. That one lesson saved me an entire pepper crop. Myth number 2 is one that convinced me to waste $40 before I figured out I'd been lied to. Honestly, this myth is mostly marketing. There's this idea that if it's not in a labeled bag with a barcode, it can't possibly work as well. I believed that for years. Then I started composting at home, just kitchen scraps, yard waste, coffee grounds, and watched my soil outperform anything I'd bought in a store. Here's why. Compost doesn't just add nutrients, it builds soil structure, feeds microorganisms, and releases nutrients slowly over months instead of dumping them all at once. Store-bought synthetic fertilizer gives your plant a quick sugar rush. Compost gives it a steady diet. Trust me on this. Once you start composting at home, you'll wonder why you ever paid for bags of the stuff. And myth number 3. This one's about timing, and it trips up almost every beginner in vegetable gardening for beginners. Here's what nobody tells you when you're just getting into vegetable gardening for beginners. Fertilizing at planting time can actually hurt young roots. New transplants have small, fragile root systems. Hit them with a strong dose of fertilizer right away, and you risk the same burn we talked about earlier. Except this time the plant hasn't even established yet. It has no chance to recover. What I do instead, wait about 2 to 3 weeks after transplanting. Let the roots settle in first, then start feeding. Have you ever transplanted something that looked totally fine one day and wilted the next? Yeah, that timing mistake is very possibly why. The next 3 myths solve problems you probably didn't even know you had. And myth number 6, that one might be costing you the most money out of all of them. Stick around. Let's talk about speed versus efficiency because these are not the same thing. Yes, synthetic fertilizer acts fast. Your plant greens up within days, looks efficient, but here's the reality. That fast nutrient hit doesn't stay in the soil, it leaches out with the next watering or rain. You end up reapplying constantly, spending money every few weeks just to maintain the same result. Organic amendments release slower, but they stay. You're not buying speed, you're buying a subscription you didn't sign up for. This is one of those things where slower genuinely wins long term. Myth number 5 gets argued about in gardening forums constantly, and I used to be on the wrong side of it. For a while I had a shelf full of specialty fertilizers, tomato food, rose food, vegetable food, all slightly different formulas, all marketed like your plant would fail without the exact right bag. Here's the thing. Most vegetables and flowering plants need the same core nutrients, nitrogen, phosphorus and potassium. The ratios shift a little depending on growth stage, not species. A good all-purpose organic fertilizer or finished compost covers the vast majority of what's growing in a home garden. Do some plants have specific needs? Sure, but you don't need 6 different bags to grow a backyard full of vegetables. That's money you can put back in your pocket. And now, myth number 6. This is the one that quietly costs the most money over an entire growing season, and almost nobody talks about it. This myth sounds responsible. Keep feeding, keep growing, right? Wrong again. Plants have natural rest periods. Fertilizing straight through fall into dormancy, into a period when the plant isn't actively growing, that's fertilizer with nowhere to go. It just sits there, or runs off, or builds up salts in your soil over time. In my garden, I stop feeding most plants about 6 to 8 weeks before the first expected frost. That gives them time to slow down naturally instead of being pushed to grow when they should be shutting down for the season. This one change alone probably saves me more money across a full year than any other single fix on this list. Alright, here's the exact system that replaced every myth we just covered. Start with compost as your base. If you're not composting at home yet, start now. It's free and it's genuinely the best thing you can do for your soil. Wait 2 to 3 weeks after transplanting before adding anything else. Use one solid all-purpose organic fertilizer instead of a shelf full of specialty bags. Feed on a schedule tied to growth stages, not the calendar. and stop feeding 6 to 8 weeks before your first frost. That's it. That's the whole system behind everything I do in organic gardening. So, which of these 6 myths were you still believing? Drop it in the comments. I read every single one. If you want to take this further, go check out my video on vegetable gardening for beginners. It walks you through everything you need before you even think about fertilizer. Subscribe if this saved you some money today. Now go check what's actually in that fertilizer bag on your shelf.